Shalom Chavarim, welcome to the Parasha summary for Parsha Toldot, or some people call it Toldos. Last week, do you remember we had Yitzchak and Rivka meeting, falling in love? There was challah, there was nerot, and it should have been a happily ever after. But in this week's Parasha, we meet them 20 years later, and they're still not an Ima and an Abba yet. And having kids is like what makes family family. And just like Abraham was so sad when he was not yet an Abba and Sarah struggled, we're in a similar situation. But now, after 20 years of waiting and wanting, Rivka is finally pregnant. Now it should be all smiles, but the pregnancy isn't going well. It's not that she's sick. You might know of people that are pregnant and feel sick all the time. Not everybody, but some people. But she feels that in her belly there's fighting. It doesn't feel right. It's not a calm baby or baby that kicks sometimes. It's like fighting. And so what should she do? She asks Hashem. And Hashem tells her, there are two nations in your womb. Womb is the part of a woman's stomach where the baby grows. Not really stomach. Anyway. And Hashem says that of these two nations, the younger will be taking over for the older one. This is unusual because usually the firstborn gets all the brachot and all the right, but Hashem tells Rivka, no, it's going to be the younger one. Now, before I keep going, do you understand what two babies are? Do you know what twins are? Do you know any twins yourself? Right. Now we're going to have twins. And as she starts to give birth, there's a story of how they were both fighting to come out first. But then Eisav comes out, and Yaakov is holding on to Eisav's leg, to his heel, to the bottom of his foot. Now, you know where your heel is? Because he wants to be first, but it is Eisav. Now, Eisav is all hairy and red and not Yaakov. Yeah, not. So I asked you if you know any twins. Sometimes twins are identical, where they look mostly the same, and sometimes they look very different, like a boy and a girl. In this case, they are two boys, but they look very different and they act very differently. I said this is twins, but maybe you have brothers or sisters. Do you look like them? Do you act like them? The Torah spends a fair bit of time explaining how very different these two boys are. They don't look alike and they don't act alike. Esav grows up to be a hunter. He goes around killing animals for fun. And Yaakov is Ish Tam Yoshev Ohalim. He is a straightforward man who likes to stay in his tents learning. So you can understand those two very different personalities. Maybe you don't know anybody who's a hunter, but you know somebody who's outside all the time running or wrestling or football or whatever, and you know somebody who's always in a book. So they're very different like that. And then the Torah tells us a more specific story about them. One day, Esav comes back from spending his day killing animals. And he's so hot and he's so tired and he's so hungry. And he sees his brother Yaakov sitting there stirring some soup that he made. And Aesop comes over and says, give me that soup. Yaakov's like, what? Give me that soup now. Pour it down my throat. And Yaakov says, well, I'll trade you. I'll give you my soup, and you give me the special beracha that the firstborn son gets. And Esav says, I don't even care about that. I just want your soup. I'm so tired, I'm going to die if you don't give me that soup right now. So Yaakov has no problem pouring that red lentil soup down Esav's throat. And now Yaakov has bought the special beracha of being the firstborn son. Uh, the parasha goes on with something that I think is interesting, but isn't really part of the story, about digging up wells. The part where the story gets very interesting again is Yitzchak thinks, I'm not gonna be around so much longer. I think now is the time to give special beracha to my firstborn son. Now, Yitzchak knows which baby came out first, Eisav. So he calls Eisav and he says, Eisav, I'm going to give you the very, very, very special beracha of the firstborn. I need you to go out in and get the animal that I like, kill it, cook it, and bring it to me, and then I will give you that very special beracha. So out Eisav goes, he's got his bow and his arrow, he's going to go hunt some animals. Rivka, the Ima, the wife, heard this. Now she knows Hashem told her who should get the special beracha. Yaakov, not Eisav. The special beracha of who it's going to be. It's going to be the person who sits in the tent and learns. Even if it wasn't, Hashem said it's going to be the younger one. So Rivka makes a plan. She says, okay, okay, Yaakov, go and get me two of the animals from the flock. I will cook it the way that your Abba likes so, so much. Your Abba Yitzchak, he can't see so well anymore, so he won't know that it's you. And Yaakov was like, what? Of course he's gonna know it's me. How could I do this? And she's like, no, don't worry. It's okay. I'll get the food ready and then I'll put his fur on the animal's fur on you. And I'll even give you some of of Esav. I keep saying it wrong. Some of Esav's clothes from the laundry. You'll have fur on your arms, so you'll feel hairy like him. You'll be wearing his clothes, so you'll smell like him. Your Abba can't see so well, so he won't know. And you'll be giving him the food. So it's going to be fine. And does Yaakov like the idea? I don't think he does, but it's what his Ima told him to do. And he is a good listener, and it's what Hashem told his Ima to do. So, mostly. So there he goes to his Abba, and he says, here you go, here's your food. And his Abba says, Yitzchak says, wow, you came back so fast. I didn't expect to get it so quickly. And Yaakov says, well, Hashem made it easier for me. And Yitzchak is confused because Esav doesn't talk about Hashem. Esav doesn't love Hashem. He says, come closer, touches him, he feels him, he smells him. He feels like Esav, he smells like Esav. Yitzchak is blind, he can't see. He says, Hakol kol Yaakov. The voice, the mouth, the words you're saying, they sound like Yaakov, but Hayadayim, Yedei Esav, but your hands, they feel like Esav. This is the work of Esav of cooking animals. So he gives the son that he thinks is Esav the beracha of what is going to be good in the land and the tal from Shemaim, the dew from the heavens, and that he's going to be more powerful than his brother. And then he eats the food and Yaakov leaves. Esav comes back. When Yitzchak is confused, why are you here? And he gave you the beracha. Esav is so mad. Think about how mad you've ever been and then make it so much, so much, so much bigger. He's waited for this beracha, even though he sold it for that soup, remember? He's so angry. And so Rivka says, Yaakov, you gotta get out of here. You can't stay. Your brother is too angry. Yaakov doesn't know what to do, but his Ima says it's okay. Yaakov, are going to go to my brother's house. My brother Lavan, you're going to go to his house, and he will take care of you, and you will be safe there. So the parasha ends on quite a cliffhanger, I think. Esav wants to do really bad things to Yaakov, and Yaakov has to leave everything he knows to go to his uncle's house, and he doesn't know what's going to be. I wish I left you this week with better answers for what's going to be, but stay tuned for next week. Shabbat Shalom.